Hello.
And welcome.
It's the Graveyard Girls, a true crime and mysteries podcast.
Yes, and this is a Nor episode for
Yes.
us today.
Yes.
But before we get into that, I think it's probably worth us telling you how you can get in touch with us if you want to.
Yes, you can get in touch with us directly via email, which is thegraveyardgirlspod@gmail.com, if you want to send us a message or
Anything about an episode.
review a case for you.
Cases you're interested that you think we might be interested in. Anything that you think we could improve on. Constructive criticism though, nothing too harsh. You can send it through the email, but you can also, if you go onto our Instagram page, which is the Graveyard Girls Pod, podcast, you can actually email us through the main page. You just click on the email icon below and it will redirect you. So you can message us, private messages through there, or you can also send an email if you want to.
We're also on TikTok.
Yes.
We're trying to remember to post
more on there.
Yes.
So that's still under Graveyard Girls, isn't it? I think.
Yes.
I'm sure it is. Let me have a look. I should probably check. Graveyard Girls Podcast. So it's exactly the same as the Instagram.
Okay. Yes, we're trying to remember to post more. We know that we don't
post enough.
Yes.
And it's quite difficult to keep up with quite the current things, because I think before this we wouldn't have traditionally on our own, we wouldn't have posted this sort of thing. So we know in terms of spreading awareness it's a bit different. We've got to follow the trends.
I know, we have to get out.
We're not trendsetters, I don't think.
No, we're not trendsetters. I would say I'm shy, so doing anything that involves the internet, I'm just like, no.
Yeah, no, you don't want it. But no, we're getting there, so we link that. But a lot of the stuff that we post on TikTok... Oh, we've got an aeroplane.
It's a helicopter.
Oh, is it a helicopter?
It might be a police one. Is it after you?
Maybe.
It's looking for you, Amelia.
It's caught with us. It's after that MI5 episode.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, they took their time.
I know, they're a bit slow, aren't they? Disappointing. Oh no, they're gone now. Maybe it wasn't.
We'll start hearing them bang on the door in a minute.
But yeah, so no, we're keeping up with that. So, but whatever we post on TikTok, we tend to add to Instagram anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We do also have a Facebook, but I'll be honest, I haven't really done much to that. I've linked it with the Instagram, so it's a case of whatever gets posted on Instagram sort of also goes on there.
Okay.
But I don't post that separately. So if you want updates, I'd say Instagram is probably the best one to find us on.
I think Facebook is also like a slightly older generation, and that's not as. It's like, no.
Yeah, I don't really use it anymore myself, so I just kind of forget about it, almost forget it exists.
We also have a Patreon if you would like to support us and the show. Yeah,
we have different tiers. So the very first one, that's literally just support for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And also that's all, the money for that is very gratefully received.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following tiers will unlock bonus episodes for you. And then our top tier will, you also get a t-shirt with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
If that's something you're interested in, and whatever we post merch linked with that is exclusive to Patreon, so that won't be available with any of our other merch when that launches.
Mm-hmm.
So that will literally be a Patreon exclusive.
We are still looking into merch, and like I said, we've got to kick ourselves up the bum and get on with that.
Got to get on with that.
That will be separate from the merch that is exclusive to Patreon.
Yeah. And that merch we'll be able to have on our website, which is the graveyardgirls.co.uk. You can also listen to the show through that. So if you can find a link to our website as well through the Instagram. That's why it's all linked up with that. But if you're on the website, if you click listen when you go on the homepage, it'll redirect you to all of the episodes, and then you can just pick through like you would on your podcast platforms, and select what episode you want to listen to. I think that's most things. Yeah, we're on all the major, for the free streaming episodes, we are on all the major podcast platforms, so like your Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts. I think I've covered all the ones that we're on.
I think so.
I think as well, to be fair, in general, if you just type us into Google, it'll come up with lots of different things that we're on.
I've seen us on some random sites that I've not uploaded us onto.
Yeah, I think we a lot of them are like reviews, and it's like third party sort of things.
Yeah.
It's added us to it. So yeah, there's a few American ones it tags us in.
Yeah.
So it helps as well with the reviews and ratings.
Mm-hmm.
if you can drop those in, because it helps spread the awareness to people that wouldn't necessarily have looked for us. Because most people that we've got now are people that are actually interested in either true crime or mysteries. So we want to try and branch out and catch the attention of people that wouldn't have necessarily put in our name.
Yeah.
So any reviews and ratings, it helps boost our rankings on all of the platforms, and it sort of puts us in suggestions for other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we can reach more people that way. So very grateful for all the feedback.
And we're grateful for those who keep coming back every week.
Very much appreciate that. So thank you.
We do have some news coming in the next coming weeks, but we won't say anything yet.
Yeah, we've got something good. A little side project we're finally launching. So
I'm excited.
A little teaser.
I'm excited, but also nervous.
Yes, I'm right. It's quite different from what we've sort of already done, but it links in with stuff that we sort of started in the past, but didn't quite get through to putting out there. So hopefully it'll help boost that, and it'll be something else that hopefully a lot of you will be interested in. I think people will.
I think so.
If they're into this as a podcast.
I think it's a little weird. It might not be... It's not true crime.
No. So yeah, I don't want to give too much away.
That's all we'll say.
So yeah, a little teaser. There you go. You heard it here first.
Yes, and because we're doing that, we're changing up the way this podcast comes out in the next coming weeks. But we'll mention that in probably next week's episode.
Yeah, and we'll also put updates on Instagram and stuff like that, so we can keep you up to... Oh, I hiccuped. Keep you up to date with all of that. So yeah, you'll still be able to get us every week. Just we're changing it slightly.
Yes.
Get us. That sounded a bit ominous.
I know. I was just like, I'll just leave that in there. Yeah, you can get us.
Just don't hurt us afterwards. It's fine.
On that
note, I should probably let you get on my case.
So for today's case, I've got an unsolved mystery for our ghoulish listeners.
Oh.
And this is the murder of Georgette Bauerdorf.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So she was born Georgette Elise Bauerdorf on May 6, 1924 in New York City to parents George Bauerdorf and Constance Dannhauser. She has an older sister also called Constance.
Oh,
but she goes by Connie.
Okay.
And obviously I think they were named after their parents. So like Georgette, George,
okay,
Constance, Connie. Yes. I think that's just a common thing in the olden days as well.
They all have the same name.
They do. And then it's like, which one are you on about? I don't know. So George was an oil man, and I don't exactly know what this means, but I think his family was kind of well off. So I don't know if he was in the oil industry.
I'm guessing so.
That's what I was thinking.
Or at least worked for the companies.
That's what I was thinking. So I think they have some money.
Okay.
Unfortunately, their mother Constance died, and George moved the family to California, where Georgette attended an all-girls school, where many notable women have attended over the years, both public and private school students.
Okay.
So I think this is why they have some money.
Okay.
So Georgette aspired to be an actress and moved to West Hollywood in August 1944. She got a job working as a junior hostess at the Hollywood Canteen, where she danced with enlisted men.
Okay.
So this is obviously the height of the war, World War II. The day before her death, Georgette cashed a $175 check and purchased an airline ticket to El Paso, Texas for $90. She told friends she was going there to rendezvous with her boyfriend, who was a soldier.
Oh, okay. So I'm guessing she's met him at work.
I believe so, yes.
He lives somewhere else. Okay.
Well, I'm assuming he'll be training or...
Yeah, he's been posted.
On a camp, yes.
Okay.
But like $90 for a plane, that sounds...
It sounds a lot, but at the same time, is it because not everyone travelled by plane then? Like, it wasn't commercial, really,
that's what I'm thinking. Especially, like, she's got $175 and then she spends $90 on a plane ticket.
Yeah, I think it's because it wasn't commercial flights then. Like, only a few people actually flew.
I thought he was going to continue.
No.
Sorry. So, on the 9th of October the 11th, 1944, Georgette left work at the Hollywood Canteen around 11:15 p.m. She spent the next several hours dancing at a local... What was that?
Certainly you partly died.
She spent the next several hours dancing at a local club called the Palladium. leaving around 2 a.m. Driving home, Georgette picked up a hitchhiking army sergeant named Gordon Arland, who had also gone to the Palladium. She told Gordon that she was hurrying home to receive a telephone call from her boyfriend in Texas. This was possibly the last time she was seen alive.
And as we all know, you don't pick up hitchhikers. Or if you're hitchhiking, don't get in someone's car.
Yeah.
Why has no one learnt this by this time?
This is 1944.
Okay, so it's a bit before, it's probably early hitchhiking.
Yeah.
But even later on, every time when it's a hitchhiker, and I think, why? And they go, he looked okay. And I went, no, you're getting in the car with a strange man.
And, yeah. It's kind for someone to stop to pick you up. But that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah,
That's just you're an easy target. No one's going to notice you're missing. And I also thought this was probably the last time she was seen alive. It's okay. Okay. So Private Jerome M. Brown, who was an anti-aircraft artillery trainee stationed at Camp Callan, was identified by Fort Bliss authorities as the man Georgette had planned to visit.
Right, okay.
Brown told Army officials that they had met at the Hollywood Canteen on the night of June 13th. He left for El Paso several days after their meeting, but the couple continued to correspond by letter.
Okay.
On October 12th, custodial staff came to Georgette's Georgette's apartment and found her body floating face down in an overflowing bathtub.
Oh.
It is believed that Georgette was attacked by a man who was waiting inside her apartment for her. Inspector William Penphrase of Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department stated that
Sorry, I'm just thinking about it.
No. Stated that an automatic nightlight over the outside entrance of the apartment had been unscrewed loose so that it would go dark. The murderer was thought to have stood on a chair to reach the light bulb nearly 8 feet off the ground.
Oh.
Fingerprints were found on the bulb.
Okay. But I'm guessing they couldn't trace them at the time.
Yes.
Oh.
The theory of an intruder was reinforced by an empty string bean can and some melon rinds in a wastebasket in Georgette's
kitchen.
My God! Georgette's kitchen. Examination of her stomach revealed that she had eaten the string beans about an hour before her death.
Oh. The string beans?
Yeah.
It's a strange
snack to have.
Yeah.
Especially if it comes from a can. I don't really want to open a can if I want a snack.
No.
You want something you can pick, not get the can opener out.
It's not the thing I'm going for. I'm going sweets.
Yeah. No, string beans. But she wants to be an actress. Maybe this is a weird diet thing.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. It's 1944. Maybe
rations.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe it's all that's left.
Maybe it's rations. Her jewelry and other valuables were not stolen, although almost $100 were taken from her purse. I always get confused, when they know how much money is stolen from people's purses. How did they know for a fact?
Yeah, no, I don't get it.
Unless you
Unless they literally just left the bank and the bank person said, I gave them this much money.
Yeah. It's just weird. There was a large roll of $2 bills and $1,000 worth of sterling silver lying in an open trunk. These were all left.
Oh, right, okay, so robbery is not the motive.
A car registered in the name of Georgette's sister was missing from the scene, though. When the car was located, there had been a dent in one of the fenders. Mechanics said the damage was recent and may have been a result of a collision with another car. Right, so it's believed the car was stolen from her residence after the murder. Right. But they left all of that money and that sterling silver jewelry, which if she's got a trunk, if she's got a trunk worth of sterling silver, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So
this might not be nice for some people to hear. So Georgette had put up a great struggle against her attacker. An examination by Los Angeles County autopsy surgeon Frank R. Webb found abundant bruises and scrapes and determined that she had been raped. The knuckles on Georgette's right hand were smashed and bruised. There was a large bruise on the right side of her head and another one on her abdomen. She had been suffocated with a piece of bandage material stuffed down her throat.
Oh, nice.
Webb said her right thigh showed bruise imprint of a hand, even to the fingernail marks piercing the skin.
Oh, it's a proper pinder down
Yeah. So police came up with a few theories during the investigation. One was that the murderer gained access to the apartment while she was out and waited until she was ready for bed. Another that the killer messed with her outdoor light, knocked on her door and entered that way, or that Georgette had brought someone home with her. This last theory doesn't seem plausible to the people that knew her. But I don't think the people who knew her probably knew her as well as they thought they did.
Yeah.
So,
Plus, you've got to explain the hitchhiker.
the walls and doors of Georgette's apartment building were soundproofed,
Oh.
which was a bit strange. But a neighbour told Captain Gordon Bowers of the Sheriff's Department that he was awakened by screams around 2:30 a.m.
Oh, so it must have been a real scream then if it's soundproofed.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, you made a previous comment about a family might not have known her as well as she was. Maybe she frequently had mail company, so she soundproofed it to block out the noises.
I think she did have frequent...
Okay.
Yes. So yes, he first heard a scream, which made him sit upright in bed, followed by a female voice yelling, "Stop, stop. Stop, stop, you're killing me."
Oh.
And then he said the screaming soon subsided. Thinking it might have been a family argument, he went back to bed.
Oh.
It's like, no, if someone's saying, "You're killing me," that's not just a family argument. That's just like, can you imagine? He sits upright and then it's like, it's nothing. And then goes back to sleep.
You'd listen in a bit more, wouldn't you? See if there's another noise. You might not act straight away, you might not go straight to the police, but you might think, I'll wait a few minutes and see if I hear another noise. And then if you don't, be like, she did mention being killed.
Yeah, if it goes immediately silent after someone saying, "You're killing me," you're like, okay, maybe not.
It's like, that's fine. It'll be nothing. Unless that was her key phrase. You don't know what she's into.
A date book was found in Georgette's bedroom containing the names of servicemen.
Okay.
So then the army authorities joined the sheriff's department in search for clues. A sailor was questioned in Long Beach but was determined not to have been her attacker. I don't know how they came up with this conclusion, but...
Maybe he wasn't in the area at the time.
Maybe. Authorities hoped that someone who had seen Georgette leaving the canteen, accompanied by an escort, would come forward, but no.
Okay.
And obviously,
but then also, is that a case of the army also protect themselves? So they might make it out that they're going to cooperate, but actually they're...
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I think a bit of a cover-up here.
That's what I thought, especially 1940s police department is not exactly... You could tip them or you could bribe them and then get away with something, and especially...
And also, they're still very sexist at this point. Almost like it's the woman's fault.
Yeah. So. Especially because, like, she has a date book because she was asking for it, really.
Yeah.
It's like, no. So, along with her date book, she also had many letters which were scrutinized by the investigators. One particular soldier, described as swarthy.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that means.
Sounds a bit like something else.
He was thought to have been infatuated with Georgette and had cut in on her during nearly every dance of the night of her death.
Oh, okay.
So
it's looking a bit suspicious.
Yeah. The soldier, identified in news accounts as Corporal Cosmo Volpe. I don't know, it ends in P-E. Turned himself in several days after the discovery of Georgette's body, after he read the police were looking for a husky, dark-haired GI.
Oh.
So I'm assuming he's supposed to be quite handsome.
Oh, okay.
Especially when they're, like, looking for a husky, dark-haired GI. He's like, oh, that's me.
That makes me think of someone else. I'm a nice guy.
He was questioned by police, but eliminated as a suspect after he offered proof that he had checked into his barracks at Lockheed Air Terminal at 11 p.m.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that he may have left.
Okay.
And could have committed the crime a bit later.
Okay.
Especially when it's like he offered proof, not that the barracks gave the police the proof.
Okay, yeah. So it's almost like he's trying to give himself an alibi.
Yeah, especially as he's like the one who's infatuated with her, she's not interested. He keeps cutting in with her dancing with all the other men.
Yeah, he's a bit jealous.
Mm-hmm. So June Ziegler, who worked with Georgette at the Hollywood canteen on the night prior to the murder, told Sheriff's Department that Georgette had dated a 6'4" serviceman less than a month before her murder. He was a friend of another serviceman whose name was frequently mentioned in her diaries. According to Ziegler, Georgette remarked that the tall soldier was very much taken with her. However, she did not return his interest and quit going out with him.
Oh, okay.
This soldier was...
So she's shagging him and his friend?
I think she's probably entertaining many soldiers. Okay. So yes, I think so. This soldier was sought for questioning by officers. I don't know if they actually questioned him or not. That is what it says. So I was just like, okay. Gordon Arland, the sergeant who she given a ride a few hours before her death, wrote a letter to the Los Angeles Police Department recounting his encounter with Georgette.
Right, okay.
He was later questioned by an officer from the Provost Marshal's office who took the testimony but never heard anything else.
Right, okay.
So, Rose Gilbert, who is the secretary of Georgette's father, reported that she occasionally asked men to stop by her apartment briefly, but never asked them to remain and never entertained friends alone, as her Catholic education gave her very stringent ideas of propriety.
I think they're just trying to paint her as a good girl.
Yeah, and it's also...
It's fine, she can go out and have sex with men. I don't...
Not in 1944, she can't.
I know, but...
I know. And also, this is what I mean, like, people might not know her as well. This is her dad's secretary. Like, I don't believe she would know what's going on in her life.
But I think she's probably making, like, a family statement to say, like, like, to paint her in one way. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, if you're not there, you don't know what Georgette is getting up to. She might say, oh, no, they don't come in. They don't stay. I don't entertain these men alone.
Yeah, they're not going to openly admit that she's having sex with random men that she doesn't really know.
Mm-hmm. So Fred Atwood, a janitor of the apartment building, testified that he heard women's heels clicking back and forth on the floor and was awakened by a loud crash around midnight on October 11th. He recognized the sounds coming from Georgette's apartment.
I thought it was supposed to be soundproofed.
That's what I thought. Maybe the floor's not?
Okay, yeah, what if he's below her?
Yes.
Okay.
He said that there was no one with her at this time.
Oh, he didn't hear the footsteps?
He didn't hear anyone at this time. Atwood and his wife are the ones that found Georgette's body the next day.
So why did they go looking? What was it that made them go up to her apartment to have a look?
I don't know. Oh. Maybe during that time they would, because he's the janitor of the apartment building.
I was going to say, what would be his reason for going up there?
Maybe he does that every single day.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because that in itself, if he wasn't the janitor, could have been a bit suspicious. Like, why are they going looking?
Yes, but he's with his wife, so I don't believe it would have been him. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Officers testified that the apartment showed no indication of a struggle, yet the autopsy proved that Georgette had fought hard against her attacker.
Right, okay.
And obviously that's good for her. Like, she
put up a fight.
And that's what you should do if you're able to, especially now.
Yeah.
Is to get DNA to prosecute those who, like, you get their DNA in you, so you can get evidence for that. But I don't think they had the evidence during that time.
Yeah, DNA wasn't a thing then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously DNA did exist, it just wasn't used.
So although the investigators had a lot of evidence pointing at servicemen, this might not have been the right direction. The killer might not have been a serviceman at all. But I don't know. So yeah, I think, like you said earlier, like, it seems like they're trying to, like, not cover up, but in a way they are. Because, like, there's so much...
to an extent. I think they've probably found that book of dates. They're quite worried. Not only, one... obviously it doesn't paint her in a very good light, but two, if it's saying they're like, almost like she's managed to charm all of the servicemen, so almost like, not she's conned them out of money, but there could be a suggestion that maybe they have paid, which wouldn't look very good on the servicemen as a whole, because then for our communities it looks like soldiers are coming in, and if a soldier's going to come into your community, they're going to start sleeping with your women, so it doesn't paint a very good picture of the army.
Yeah.
So because they're supposed to be very strict and follow rules, they're not that they can't have fun, but they're supposed to come in, they have a job to do, they're not there to socialise with people necessarily. So,
even though if they're in California at this time, they're allowed that break. They're allowed. Yeah.
But I think the army want to keep this thing of they come in, they're proper, they follow the rules, and having that exposed doesn't look very good. So by them saying, right, we're going to cooperate, we're going to speak to all of our officers, make sure there's nothing untoward, it looks like they're doing their part.
Yeah. That's what I thought. But also, like, during this time, I think the police are well known to be corrupt. So I think, like, in theory, the army are slightly above them. So then they can, like, guide the investigation. I think that's why it might remain unsolved.
But also as well, depending on the names that are in that book, it might have been some higher ranking army officers, so that they themselves,
especially married ones as well, so they're like, that you need to get rid of this.
Yeah, we need to hide it. So and like I said, if the police are corrupt, they'll work with it together and they'll go, we'll sort this bit out, you just hush that bit.
Yes. And so William Randolph Hearst, a close friend of Georgette's father, pressured the LAPD at his behest to close the investigation as quickly as possible.
That's a bit suspicious.
Yes. Their reasons for this are unclear, but it is done supposedly to avoid embarrassment, to keep Georgette's romantic life private and her reputation intact, as she was sexually active and she documented all of her social and romantic relationships in her diary, which would have become evidence and thus became available to the public had the investigation and a trial followed.
Yeah, but it's still important information.
So I think because she was sexually active at a time, which is 1944, it's not exactly...
No, they don't see it's frowned upon. They don't see it's okay. But at the same time, it's also vital evidence.
Yeah.
Like, it could secure the murderer.
I think just because of the time it was, because they're like, oh, she's doing all these dirty, disgusting things when it's not. But at this time, I think they don't want that reputation of her. They'd rather let her murder go unsolved rather than solve it and then all this become known, which
but regardless
I don't
of
get.
That, it's come out anyway.
True.
So it hasn't avoided it.
True.
So if it's already coming out, you might as well just do that and give yourself a better chance of catching who it was.
Maybe, but we only know the surface level. Maybe she's into some very, very kinky stuff and we don't know any of that.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
So yes. So Georgette's murder is supposedly linked to the Black Dahlia.
Oh, okay.
You kind of know about her.
Yeah, I do know about her.
So Elizabeth Short. So her murder. Although Elizabeth was murdered in 1947, Georgette was murdered in 1944.
So she would be a first one or an earlier one.
Or an earlier one. Both women had similar appearances, and the top suspects in Elizabeth's murder, who is Dr. George Hodel,
right,
his son suggested he also murdered Georgette because of the medical bandage in her throat.
Right, okay.
And in both cases, the media received notes supposedly from the killer taunting the police and boasting of his skills.
Right, okay.
But this is all speculation, as no one knows who killed Georgette.
Okay, because I'm thinking then, how would the doctor have come into contact with her? Like, was he in the area at the time?
I don't know. I think it's just speculation. I think it's just attributing another killer to this guy.
Right, okay.
Because even his own son is like, yeah, my dad killed them, but I don't have the evidence. I just suspect.
Yeah, is he almost looking for his 5 minutes of fame? I know it's not necessarily the way you want to go about it, but if no one can prove otherwise, it's still
true.
It could get him his 5 minutes of fame.
True.
But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I do think it was probably someone within the army. I
do think that as well. I think they kind of not covered it up. I think
they covered up certain aspects. I think they didn't help because they wanted to help. They've helped because then it allows them to cover up things that they didn't want getting out. Like I said, other people that weren't necessarily directly involved, like other men, like you said before, about being married, they need to cover that up. So otherwise it could unravel a whole load of, like, nearly all the officers. I'm sure the majority of, not all officers, that's not fair, but a lot of the army officers probably would have been having extramarital affairs because they're not seeing their wives for a very long period of time. So it's more than likely that they probably did in these places away, but the army don't want that getting out.
No.
So they need to cover it up. So actually what they're trying to cover up is something completely unrelated to the actual case, but they needed to be involved in it. So rather than genuinely being helpful, they've done it on a precursor to cover up other things.
That's what I thought. Especially when it's like they're seeing all these men that she's entertaining and they're like, oh, we better go do something.
Yeah, we've got a bit... It's almost like a problem within the institution, isn't it?
And I think maybe the theory of a man lying in wait, like unscrewing the light bulb, maybe that's like their MO. Maybe there's quite a few murders like
how
this.
They've done it.
Yeah, and maybe they're like, oh, Jeff's done it again. We need to like cover it up.
I know it wasn't supposed to be a robbery, but could it have been the whole light bulb man? Maybe he was intending to go for robbery. He goes in there, she puts up far more of a fight than he was expecting, and he ends up killing her. And the reason he doesn't rob anything is he just tries to leave quickly. He seemed like, in a panic.
He has also raped her.
Oh yeah, okay, I didn't think about that. I don't know how to... She's there, I might as well now. I don't know. I was thinking, the robbery, maybe then the reason he didn't steal was actually he was panicked by the murder thing, so he's like, fuck it, I'm off.
But then
that wouldn't explain the rape. Okay.
There's also the theory that he's lying in wait, that she hasn't brought anyone home with her, supposedly.
I don't know, I feel like she did bring someone home with her.
I kind of also thought it was the Gordon Ardland who, like, she gave a ride to.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose it depends where she dropped him off.
Yeah, because that isn't said anything. He's just like, he's the one who's the last person to see her alive.
Yeah, it's either incredibly unlucky for him or he was the one that killed her.
Yeah, so it's unsolved, and it was kind of helped to be unsolved by her own dad and the family.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I get the secretary thing. She's just trying to put a good sort of front out to the media, because the media probably tried to contact with the comments and they've not said anything, so they've got to put something out there. So the secretary put something out there. That I get. The other guy, what was it? Someone that worked for the dad?
His friend.
Yeah, him. I don't like that. That's a bit iffy. Does that make him a suspect?
In a way, yeah. He's like, the dad doesn't want this getting out, so you need to cover it up or close this case. It's just weird that they let it close unsolved.
Yeah, no, I think there was too much pressure on the police, wasn't there? Probably from higher up to hush it, and I think that's what's... They've probably been attacked not only by the army first, but then this other guy saying, no, we need to hush everything up, I want it squashing soon. So they've probably had sort of pressure from all sorts of different angles.
Yes, and the friend of the family, that William Hurst, he's quite wealthy.
Okay. But the thing is as well, I'm surprised though, even then with them having to squash it and hush it up pretty quick, I'm surprised they didn't like wrongly convict someone for it. Like just get anyone. Just so they could say they closed it rather than leaving it unsolved. For the time, because there's a lot of people like miscarriages of justice. So I'm surprised they didn't do that, to be fair. Probably. Or was it because the only person they could make plausible was an army official and they didn't want to get them involved, maybe? Maybe,
because, like all these men in her book, I think either way they don't want any of this going in trial. So even if they did wrongly convict someone, that would come out in trial.
Yeah, unless the person pled. Yeah, okay.
So yes, it's unsolved.
Interesting one. But yeah, definitely think the army's something to do with that.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Maybe the listeners could let us know what they think.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it. And don't forget to tell everyone else about it.
Yes.
But yeah, in the meantime,
keep creeping.
And we'll keep digging.